Hi Mathletes, today we're going to talk about decimals. In particular, we're going to talk about place value, standard form, and writing decimals as words. This is a place value chart and represents where the decimal will go. In a few minutes, we'll see some examples of this to help us understand, but I wanted to point out some things about this chart first. To the left of the and, we have our whole numbers. For example, if I put a 5 there, that means I have the whole number 5. After the decimal point, we have the different place values that represent the decimals. This column is tenths, this column is hundredths, and so on. You can see that before and after the decimal points here at the and, the place values mirror each other. For example, tens and tenths match up. Hundreds and hundredths match up. The only difference is that after the decimal point, all of these place values end with THS. Let's look at some examples. This example is 263. I included the decimal point here just to help us understand, but we're not going to use it for this example. This means I have 3 ones, 6 tens, and 2 hundredths. You can see it gets smaller as we get closer to the decimal. 200 is bigger than 60, which is bigger than 3. There are no decimal places in this example. In our next example, we have 3 and 5 tenths. The way you read this is you say the whole numbers, which is 3 in this case. You say and for the decimal point. Then you read the number after the decimal point, and you say whatever place value is farthest to the right. We only have a 5 here, so we say tenths. 3 and 5 tenths. We do the same thing here. We say the whole numbers first. 35. Say it just like normal. Now we say the decimal point as and. 35 and. We say this number as if it were a whole number, 435, and then say the place value furthest to the right. Here we have thousandths. So it's 35 and 435 thousandths. Here's another one. We have no whole numbers, so it's 0. 0 and, say this number, 42, and then the place value furthest to the right, thousandths. 0 and 42 thousandths, or just 42 thousandths. You try it. Here I've given you some examples. I've given you some decimals as numbers and some decimals as words. Pause the video and fill in all of the blanks. For example, I'd like you to put this decimal right here into words here. Then I'd like you to put these words into a number form here. Please pause the video and complete this exercise. Let's go through the answers now. The answer to A is 5 and, for the decimal point, 98 thousandths. The answer to B is 3 thousandths. It's okay if you said 0 and 3 thousandths. Those are the same. C is 43 and 87 hundredths. D is 203 and 6 thousandths. E is 1 and 2 tenths. 1 and 2 tenths. Remember, we always name the decimal by the furthest place value it goes to on the right side after the decimal. That's why this is 2 tenths. That's why this is 6 thousandths. The furthest place it goes to is thousandths. It goes farther than the hundredths place, and it goes farther than the tenths place. A note about zeros. Let's look at the whole number 42. We know that 42 is the same thing as 042, which is the same thing as 0042, which is the same thing as 00042. It's not normal to do this, but you could add zeros in front of whole numbers and they wouldn't change. It's true of decimals in the reverse. We can add zeros at the end of decimals and the numbers don't change. So if we have 0 and 42 hundredths, that's the same thing as 0 and 42 hundredths with the 0 at the end, or 0 and 420 thousandths. We can add 2 zeros at the end of it as well. 42 hundredths is the same as 4,210 thousandths. You cannot add zeros in between the decimal point and the number, though, to have the same number. 42 hundredths is not the same as 42 thousandths. That's not the same as 42 ten thousandths. In fact, 42 hundredths is a lot bigger than this one, 42 thousandths. And 42 thousandths is a lot bigger than this one, 42 ten thousandths.